going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Live. I'm your host, the Viking. I'm joined by my co-host, KC. KC, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a lovely week, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. There's been a lot of movies and TV shows, so let's get right into it.
Did you get your Spider-Man No Way Home tickets?
No, but that was a lot of fun watching other people, trying to get those. But for me, the ticket sales go live like 3 or 4 days before release for almost every movie. So
Yeah,
I didn't have to go through all that.
yeah. It's not as hectic here in terms of movies. Like we have a small population, so it's not like people are flooding out to the cinema. And
hmm
like here, it's not taken as seriously. You could probably get tickets the day the film comes out, or probably even an hour before it comes out. Like it's not that crazy, especially where I live. So I'm okay. I don't have to rush or, I don't have to make sure I get tickets for opening night. I could just walk in probably before it's dark and just get a ticket. That's how simple it is here. But yeah, people were
Nice.
really getting so frustrated or so anxious that they couldn't get tickets, which is pretty funny. Sorry to all the people out there, but it is kind of
Yeah.
funny. But yeah, I suppose we can get into the show. And first topic is Ghostbusters Afterlife, which came out last week. It's in its second weekend now. We're going into its third weekend this weekend, but it's done pretty well at the box office. And I think it was around 40 million or 50 million opening weekend in the US, 35 million the weekend gone by. Internationally, it's doing pretty well. Directed by Jason Reitman, his father. Ivan Reitman directed the first two in the franchise, the original 1984 and 1997. So this has a lot of buzz around it, and especially after the 2016 female version that came out, which was a bit of a disaster. It made money, but hardcore fans seem to hate it big time. Casey, what's your relationship with the Ghostbusters franchise? Have you seen the originals? Did you watch the female one? Or are you looking forward to this one?
I haven't seen any of the Ghostbusters, and I haven't seen them growing up either, so I had no connection to it. And when the 2016 one came out, I haven't watched that because it looked like shit. I'm sorry, but the trailers or nothing just interested me at all, and so I didn't check it out then. But this trailer looks good, and I'm glad people are really enjoying it. I know some of my friends are really hardcore Ghostbusters fans and they loved this movie, so that's all that matters, right? Because movies like these are very a part of people's growing up, their childhood and stuff. So fans loving it is what should matter the most to them. So it seems like that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I'm not a huge Ghostbusters fan either. I'm not like die hard. I don't get annoyed by the movies, but yeah, I've watched the original ones and they're pretty good comedies. Bill Murray's in them. Like these great actors that were on Saturday Night Live, great comedians. And yeah, it was a big hit, the two movies, and they had such a huge impact on people. And it's weird how a third movie never happened. But you know, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis had a bit of a falling out. Like Harold Ramis was a very good director as well, and he co-wrote the original Ghostbusters with Dan Aykroyd. And Harold Ramis played the Ghostbuster Egon. But him and Bill Murray after Groundhog Day had a falling out and didn't talk for like 20 years. That's a big reason why a third film was never made. I think him and Bill Murray they made up just before he passed away, which was nice. But like that's the main reason why we never ever got a third movie, which was a shame. And then the 2016 one came out, and that was a disaster. People absolutely hated that one. I remember watching it when it dropped like on our TV channels here. I was like, "What is this? This is just really bad." And I'm never a fan of kind of remaking something with an all female cast, like changing the genders and stuff like that. Nothing against the females. It doesn't seem right when you could just bring back the original crew, or you could implement women into the story, very much like a Ghostbusters Afterlife did, in a very, very good way. And I'm not a big fan of the, Melissa McCarthy, those kind of actors in the
Yeah.
2016 version. I like Kirsten Wiig in some things, but sometimes the comedy is just it just doesn't sit right with me whatsoever. So I never enjoyed that film whatsoever, and it kind of killed the franchise for a little bit in a certain way. And I always felt bad for the diehard Ghostbusters fan
The critics
that they
loved
had to
that movie
go.
though.
Critics love that one and they hate this
They
one.
had to
I
love
actually
that
got
one.
yeah. Well, at the time, with everything that was going on, I kind of had to. But I have a bone to pick with that, which I'm kind of annoyed at, which I'll talk about after the review. But yeah, this one, I think it's been delayed 4 times, which is a bit ridiculous with all the pandemic and stuff like that. But that's nobody's fault. And I was very interested in this because the trailers were pretty good and the teasers were pretty good, and it kind of had that homage feeling to it, to the original. You know, like I'm not familiar. Just people don't get angry at me. I'm not familiar with all the terms and the car name and the weapons and stuff like that. I'm not a diehard fan like that, but I'm aware of what they look like, and I understand when something's Easter egg or that's a reference towards that. But yeah, the trailers have all been good. But something very interesting was they never showed the original Ghostbusters in any of the marketing. None of the trailers, none of the TV spots. It was a little uh, glimpse of one of their hands on a telephone and their voice. That was about it. It was very, very limited references. And the film came out on the Friday, and like all the talk shows, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, all them, Seth Meyers, all them talk shows, the 3 guys were guests on it, but they never showed any clips of them whatsoever. So it was kind of weird, the marketing for this movie. But like it was confirmed that they're in it, and they are in the movie as well. But yeah, but the trailer's not out. Looked pretty interesting. It's kind of like it wasn't a reboot, but it was bringing something new to it. And Jason Reitman was directing it, and his father had directed the original. The kind of plot for this film is Ghostbusters Afterlife. When a single mom and her 2 kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. And the grandfather is Harold Ramis, who passed away. His character Egon, of course, he's passed away, so he's not in the movie like in a physical form to star in it. When the other 3 Ghostbusters did appear in it, and some other characters that were in the original movies as well, which is a shame. But this film, someone who's not a diehard Ghostbusters fan, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It brought something new that the other movies didn't have, but it also stuck to what the other movies had as well. Jason Reitman as a director is very different from his father, Ivan. Two completely different directors, big time. And Jason brings something very unique to the first act and third act. Don't feel like a Ghostbusters movie, but they have like Ghostbusters equipment, or they have the ghosts, or they have it's a Ghostbusters movie, but it's not really a Ghostbusters movie in terms of Act One and Act Two when you compare it to the original movies, which I didn't mind whatsoever because it's done in a very pleasant way, unlike the 2016 version. And then when you go into the third act, it very much is a Ghostbusters movie. It very much feels like you're watching the original, and it doesn't have too many references to Ghostbusters 2 at all. It's mainly like a homage to Ghostbusters 1. Now, maybe if they have a Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, there will be more references to the second one, the sequel. But yeah, I thought Paul Rudd was fantastic in it. He plays like a teacher, a summer school teacher, and he's brilliant in everything. So he was a good addition to the cast. But I will say that in the third act he kind of goes missing because something happens. I think his absence could be felt when he wasn't in the third act for the big showdown because he was in Act One and Act Two, and that's what I'm talking about. It felt like such a different movie for those 2 acts, but then the third act it's so different. But yeah, I had a good time with it. And someone who's not a diehard fan, I got emotional for the third act for something that they did, which I don't want to spoil. You have to go see it. It's just fantastic. And if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, I think you're going to really appreciate that moment big time, the way they did it. And yeah, it's a very heavy moment in the third act. But like we have these kids, the next generation, and McKenna Grace, who plays Phoebe, which is Egon, which is Harold Ramis's daughter in this movie. She's terrific. She carries the movie. She's in most of the movie. She's the one who discovers the original Ghostbusters, what they were, like the history of them, that her grandfather was a Ghostbusters. And she's a terrific actor, brilliant actor. She did such a fantastic job. And then the character that plays her brother Trevor, Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, he doesn't have much to do. And then there's another character, Podcast, which is part of the new Ghostbusters group as well. Like these characters are fine on the surface, but didn't have much to do. It was mostly McKenna Grace's character that had most the heavy lifting to do. And she's in a few scenes with Paul Rudd, a few comedic scenes, and she kind of holds her own against Paul Rudd, which is fantastic considering the career that Paul Rudd has had. And then their mother, Carrie Coon, she was such a likable character, very funny, and she had a good chemistry with Paul Rudd, kind of a love interest dynamic going on there. So like everybody in the movie is fantastic. It's just that everybody was giving something awesome to do. And like, something I didn't really like, it felt like a bit of the movie was cut out or they never filmed it. It was kind of like the transition of learning the equipment that the Ghostbusters used. because the kids find it and then they can use it flawlessly. They know what buttons to press. They know how to capture a ghost, which is a little bit kind of odd. Like, can they not go through a process of trial and error where they learn how to use this equipment? But they never did that whatsoever, which I kind of felt like, oh, they took a bit out of this movie that would have been cool to see. And then the other side characters like Trevor, like Podcast, the other members of this new Ghostbusters group, they didn't have much to do. It felt like they had stuff cut out as well. Like there was no deepness to their character, no like massive character development. So they were kind of the flaws I had for the movie. But there's a sequence in the town where they're using the Ghostbusters car. I don't know the name, but they're going through the town, and that's done fantastically. And it's just you don't use the original like a Ghostbusters. Who are going to call a Ghostbusters song like for just a special feeling or anything? That's why Act 1 and Act 2 is so different. And then when you go into the third act, it's huge. The special effects are huge, and there's this big kind of villain to beat. So look, overall, I thought it was a pretty good movie. Had some problems with it, but I think it's fun. It pays tribute to the original two movies, to the director, to the cast, to everyone involved with those two movies. But most importantly, what the 2016 one failed to do was it respected the fans. And the fans, look at the score, the audience score for Ghostbusters Afterlife, it's pretty high. And the critic score is pretty low. And then I was thinking to myself, why is this? And I started reading some of the reviews, and it said that too much of a tribute to the old movies. It's nostalgic. I'm missing the word right now, but it's they're trying to use that, or maybe you can know the word, KC. They're trying to use like old things to get people excited for this movie now. Like, oh, remember this thing? Oh, now we're doing it again. Remember this thing? Oh, we're doing it again. Look at this. That was in the original. They did that a lot in this movie. But Ghostbusters fans have been waiting since 1988 for a Ghostbusters sequel. For years, they've wanted to see these characters return, and they had to look at one of the actors pass away, and then they thought, oh, this film is never, ever going to happen. And then the 2016 one is greenlit. Fans get excited, maybe, and they go check it out opening night, and they're just sitting there like, oh my God, what have they done to this beloved franchise? So when you have audiences who love this movie so much, and critics don't, I think it tells a lot, because the fans like what was in this movie, and Jason Reitman gave the fans exactly what they want. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, giving the audience what they want at all, especially in this case when they've waited over 30 years to see a sequel, not only a sequel, but a worthy sequel to the original two. So I have no problem with that whatsoever. You know, fan service is the word I was kind of using, looking for, KC. There's a lot of fan service, but there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, considering what the fans have got to go through. So I don't understand critics whatsoever. And then they like the 2016 one, which in my opinion, is a shit on the fans, on the original actors, on the director, on the writers, on everybody involved with the original two. It's just absolute, just taking a shit on all of them, in my opinion, it really is. And I think this film is very emotional, it's very well made, and I'm actually looking forward to watching it again. I don't know if I'll go to theaters to watch it because there's so many movies coming out, just don't have the time. But the minute it hits PVOD, I'm definitely going to watch this one again.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I just had a lot of fun with it. And someone who's not a diehard fan, I was intrigued by the world that Jason Reitman was setting up. And actually, just today, he has signed a deal with Sony, and it didn't say specifically what films he will be doing. But considering the box office of Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is about to cross 100 million, or will cross 100 million in the next few days domestically, yeah, we're getting a Ghostbusters universe for sure, which is awesome. And I do hope that the original Ghostbusters are in more of the sequels to be mentors or just have more screen time, because like it's great to have them still around and they can all act and they're all healthy. So use them as much as you can, in my opinion. But yeah, there's 2 post-credit scenes as well. First one's kind of just like a fun throwback scene, and the second one it sets up the greater universe that hopefully will come. So yeah, I think definitely check out the first 2, KC, or anyone out there who haven't seen them, and then go check out Ghostbusters Afterlife, because they're good films. There's nothing wrong with them whatsoever.
Yeah, at some point, I might have to check it out because obviously it's one of the well-known IPs in Hollywood. So yeah, if it's keeping on going, that's good for everybody. I always love it when franchises just keep going and make good movies. That's what more you can ask for, right? Like Harry Potter even is making its shows like now after all these years. I don't know what took them so long,
Yeah,
but every movie like this should have, its own franchises, universes, or whatever. When this is the time to make the universes for these franchises, right?
yeah,
So, yeah, it's cool.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I don't think Sony have a streaming service, but they could definitely make shows. I think what the most important thing to do for this movie was to play it safe in a way. It was
Yeah.
about making a good movie, making some money, and pleasing the fans. And then after that, you can take some more risks with the story and the way you want to go forward with it. But it was just about playing it safe, getting this one right because you needed to. And I look at like Halloween as well, the 2018 one. Not my favorite Halloween movie. It's very safe, but it was important to play safe after the previous ones did so badly and were received badly.
Hmm.
It's good to play it safe for the first movie. Then you can broaden your horizons and take a little bit more risks
Yeah.
in the second one because you've already got fans back on your side. So yeah, um, yeah, totally agree with that. But the next topic that we have in the review is the House of Gucci. House of Gucci. I can't do a Jared Leto impression, but he's pretty good in this movie as Paolo Gucci. Um, yeah, I got to see this the other day. Looking forward to this for a while because the trailers were really a lot of fun. I thought, and had an unbelievable cast of Jared Leto, Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons, directed by Ridley Scott. That's just absolutely insane right there. So yeah, looking forward to it. Didn't know anything about the history whatsoever, but judging by the trailer, it seemed to be like a mafia type of crime thriller, but in the world of fashion. And that's kind of what it was. In a way, that's what it was. But Casey, what was your relationship with this movie? What, trailers, the cast? Did you go see it?
Yeah, well, firstly, I know nothing about this story. And the first time I saw the trailer, it impressed me. It was cool, but I wasn't fully sold on it. But of course, Ridley Scott is directing, so I was interested in that. The cast is pretty good: Jared Leto, Adam Driver, Lady Gaga, Jeremy Irons. So yeah, I am probably going to check it out here soon, but first I'm waiting to see The Last Duel first, because that's the one that I'm interested in more. But yeah, after that I'll probably check this one out. But yeah, I know nothing about this story.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about it either. And like the film's 2 hours and 45 minutes long, and it
Oh,
does feel like a long film. But actually, the pacing is pretty good for it. It pacing because the story is so interesting and the actors are so good. You don't really mind watching them in the times where it's not that interesting. But yeah, I could see many people not wanting to go because of the runtime, and then many people kind of bored at times because there is a time in the movie, especially after the 2 hour mark, where you're like, do we really need all this? Like, I don't mind long movies. I don't mind watching the actors and stuff like that. But you could have maybe cut it out, and maybe made it like a tighter film. But so that's I think it's doing pretty well actually at the box office, so that's good. But the plot for this one is House of Gucci is inspired by the family empire behind the Italian fashion house of Gucci. When Patricia Regini, Lady Gaga, an outsider from humble beginnings, marries into the Gucci family, her unbridled ambition begins to unravel the family legacy and triggers a reckless spiral of betrayal, revenge, and ultimately murder. So that's basically the plot. Actually, the House of Gucci or the Gucci family came out today in a statement bashing on this movie and Ridley Scott for depicting them in such a bad way. So that's pretty funny. And like, was all these events just dramatized for film, or is it too close to home for the Gucci family in terms of what their legacy is? So, look, I don't know, but it's a film and it's a very entertaining film. But yeah, so I want to go through each kind of actor first. Lady Gaga plays Patricia Regini. So she marries into the family. She marries Adam Driver's character. Lady Gaga is terrific. She holds her own in most of the scenes with Jeremy Irons, Al Pacino, with some of the greats of cinema. She does a fantastic job, and she's a leading lady right now because this film is doing pretty well at the box office, like relatively well for pandemic. A Star is Born with Bradley Cooper. She was the star in that as well. Fantastic. I think she won an Oscar. So like she is a leading lady now right now. And the next movie she will be as well. So she's making a very promising career for herself, and big directors want to work with her now after Ridley Scott's after working with her. So she's fantastic in the movie. Adam Driver as Mauricio Gucci, he as her husband, he's solid. He doesn't have much to do in terms of like acting. He's just a solid character throughout the movie. So yeah, I don't think he was unbelievable or anything. He was just really, really solid. Al Pacino plays Aldo Gucci, who is Adam Driver's uncle. And Al Pacino, yeah, he's very good in this. Probably he's in a really good role at the minute because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he was fantastic, and now House of Gucci, he's fantastic as well. Jeremy Irons plays Rodolfo Gucci, who was a former actor turned to fashion now, and the head person of the Gucci family. Yeah, he's fine as well. But like it's funny because this is supposed to be an Italian family, and everyone's just doing Italian accents. And at times, like Jeremy Irons just loses his Italian accent. He's just speaking as Jeremy Irons. Then I was like, that kind of took me out of it a little bit. But it's funny how you have these movies based in a certain region, but everybody's talking English. But I know it's a movie, but yeah, Jeremy Irons was fine as well, but he wasn't in much of the movie. But I suppose the standout, and probably people will think I'm just biased, but it was Jared Leto as Paolo Gucci, and
You're
many people are
biased?
saying that
Oh man,
biased
no
towards
way.
Joe. Yeah, well, all I'm saying is like Jared Leto has been in The Little Things, big hit for HBO Max.
Not a lot of people
Zack
saw
Snyder's
that,
Justice League.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Good
but
movie.
I'm still thinking about the ending because it was weirdly done,
Mhm.
but yeah, it kept me engaged for most of it. Then Zack Snyder's Justice League, now House of Gucci. So yeah, he plays Paolo Gucci, which is kind of the member of the Gucci family who's kind of looked down upon. He's looked at as the idiot of the family, the clown. He is a talented fashion designer, but the family never let him bring his talents to the front of the business. He's never allowed to design
I
clothes,
can relate to
even though he's
that.
actually pretty talented. Are you a fashion designer, Jesse? Um, but yeah, you actually feel sorry for his character because it's a tragic story, and Jared Leto does a pretty good job. And people out there are saying that he's overacting or he's not acting at all. I thought he was pretty entertaining. And most of this film is very funny. It is very funny, especially Lady Gaga's character, Jared Leto's character. They're very funny at times. Some of their dialogue and just the way they move. But yeah, I love Jared Leto on this. He's unrecognizable. I think there's a scene in this. If he is nominated for an Oscar, there's a scene with Adam Driver. It's I think they're just beside a car. That's the scene they'll use for his Oscar kind of video. If he does get nominated, I don't know if he will or not, but I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, he's fantastic. He's just so interesting and fascinating to watch in every single scene because of just what his character is and just the way he perceives it. He's very over dramatic in his Italian accent and the way he moves his hands and stuff like that. But he's just very entertaining to watch on screen. So yeah, I thought those actors did pretty well. Salma Hayek, who's in a lot of the trailers, is barely in this movie whatsoever. I actually think they cut out a lot as well because if you go watch the trailers, there's a good bit of the movie cut out. There's scenes that don't make it. And even though it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, Ridley Scott said he will have a director's cut for this movie as well. So, and The Last Duel. So that should be something to look forward to. But yeah, the film as a whole, it's it's the Lady Gaga film for the first 2 hours, and then it just shifts into the Adam Driver story. And then Lady Gaga's gone off screen for a majority near the end. You're like, well, I was really enjoying Lady Gaga and what was going on there with her character and the Gucci family, and now she's just gone, and now we have Adam Driver. It just didn't really flow that right. Just getting rid of her. And Adam Driver didn't have much to do in terms of acting, so he was just like a solid kind of person to watch. But when Lady Gaga was entertaining, when Jared Leto was entertaining, like when I was on Adam Driver at times, I just wanted to go back to Lady Gaga and even Al Pacino and Jared Leto because they were entertaining in what they were doing. Adam Driver wasn't that entertaining whatsoever. He's kind of a pushover for the first 2 hours with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga calls the shot, then he kind of takes over and becomes more of a man, but he's just not entertaining. That's what my problem was. And the movie does a good job of interacting with musical scores, but also interacting with real music. So, but I was expecting more music because the trailers had like upbeat music, disco music, and stuff like that. But the actual movie didn't have too much of that. That's just a marketing thing. The marketing team thought, oh, let's put these in, give people a different idea of the movie. But yeah, I think Ridley Scott's he's not a bad director, so he does a fantastic job. It's just maybe could have cut down a bit of the runtime after the 2 hour mark. But yeah, I think it's a good watch. You didn't know anything about this story. but the runtime will throw some people off. But I was highly entertained for the 2 hours and 45 minutes as I watched it. I was so engaged in the story because I didn't know where it was going or what was happening next. And it's one messed up story, and Lady Gaga's character is one messed up person for what she did, as you'll see when you watch the movie. But yeah, it's a good watch, and it's definitely one that I'd sit down and watch it again the whole way through. I don't think I'd watch it anytime soon, but definitely down the line, I'd definitely revisit this.
Cool. Yeah. I can't wait to check it out. All right. So next up, we have True Story from Netflix.
Yeah. So this is a brand new Netflix show starring Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes. And the creator for this show is the creator of Narcos. Did you ever watch that Netflix show, you?
Sorry, what?
Narcos. Did you ever watch that Netflix show?
No, I haven't seen Narcos. But
yeah,
it was
so
hugely
the guy who
popular.
created that show. Yeah, people love that show.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched it now either, but the creator of that show created this show specifically for Kevin Hart. So it's already in good hands. But have you seen the trailer for True Story? It's not based on a true story. It's just called True Story. Have you seen the trailer for this or anything about this?
No, I haven't seen anything about that. I just saw the poster, and I thought the only thing I saw was the poster for this, and the poster looks interesting. And also, the only thing I liked was how the title is. The way the apostrophes are on True Story. I liked that, but apart from that, I know nothing about it. So
so this one, it kind of caught my interest because of the trailer, and the trailer seemed very intense. You got Wesley Snipes. Oh, I haven't seen him in much things. He's been kind of making a comeback the last few years, but he doesn't be in high profile things anymore. I think Kevin Hart, I suppose, is at the top of his game. Brilliant stand-up comedian, animated movies, action movies, comedy movies. You just can't do any wrong right now. So, yeah, I was interested in this one, and it was billed as a dramatic show. And there wasn't going to be too much comedy in it. I'll just read out the kind of plots to give people kind of a gist of the story. A tour stop in Kid's hometown of Philadelphia becomes a matter of life and death for one of the world's most famous comedians. So Kevin Hart plays this comedian called Kid. It's basically, just think of Kevin Hart's career, but it's in this Netflix show, and it's not Kevin Hart, but Kevin Hart's playing this character. So it's basically Kevin Hart's life, but it's not a true story. And he's this big famous star. He's in a big superhero movie that just crossed $1 billion. He's on tour, and he's at the top of his game. And his brother is Wesley Snipes. And his brother is not a bad influence. He's not like, he depends a lot on his brother. His brother gives him money the whole time. He's trouble. But his brother, Kevin Hart, loves his brother Wesley Snipes, and vice versa. He'll do anything for him, even though he has to pay off debts that he has. He has to pay him. He has to help him with stuff. He'll do it because he's his brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to spoil what happens in the series, because it's a type of series. It's 7 episodes. So I watched it in a few hours. First episode was like 58 minutes. Then after that, it's 35 minutes, 30 minutes, 32 minutes. You can wrap it up pretty quickly after that. But what happens with this show is one of these shows where when you watch the first episode, you will have to watch the second episode because of the cliffhangers. Then you watch the second episode, and then there's a massive cliffhanger. You have to watch the third episode to see what happens next. Then you watch the third episode, massive cliffhanger. You just have cliffhanger after cliffhanger after cliffhanger. And then before you know it, you're on episode 7. And then when you get to the big twist in episode 7, you're like, what did I just watch? Oh my God, you're so baffled by it. And it's a short and snappy show. Kevin Hart's probably the best. It's probably the best work Kevin Hart's ever done. That's saying enough. And here he's not playing a comedian, he's playing a dramatic actor. A dramatic character and a dramatic story. And I've said this a few times in the show, I think the guys who are comedic actors, stand-up comedians, are some of the best dramatic actors in the world.
Yeah.
Because they make it so realistic and so real for some reason. I just find it fascinating. Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, Ben Stiller, these comedic geniuses are just so good dramatically. Even Will Ferrell in the Shrink Next Door that we're watching, KC. Yeah. Did you see the latest episode for that?
No, I haven't. I've seen.
Oh, you have to watch.
I've seen episode 5. That one was the latest.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
I saw it.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, how good was Will Ferrell in that episode?
Yeah, dude. I
Just
just
that is
can't get enough of this show,
so.
man. I just wish it was fully available to watch because it's so intriguing. I just hate waiting for this one.
Yeah, yeah, and like he episode 5 is where they're like, what the hell's going on? This is a real story because what Paul Rudd's character does is just
Yeah,
ridiculous, and Will Ferrell sells it every single time. There's something people need to watch that show. There's just a scene with a tree, and you're like,
yeah.
oh, I hate Paul Rudd's character, and I feel so sorry for Will Ferrell's character. But yeah, this show right here, Kevin Hart, he's brilliant dramatically, and then the twists and the turns, you just will not see them coming at all. I will give €100 to anybody who can predict the twists that happen in this show. It's just absolutely insane. It's not done in like a cheesy, oh let's do this twist to be cool type of thing. It actually makes sense for the story that's happening. And so yeah, it's one of those. I actually would describe it in a way as a mix between. I know you don't like uncut gems, but I'm talking about the stress element to it in terms of it's just it keeps going and going.
Hmm.
So like Uncut Gems, I suppose any of the Safdie brother films because they're so intense and get you really uptight. It's one of those types of shows. So yeah, I don't want to give away too much because there's just too many spoilers if I talk about what happens.
You've
But it's
actually
on
sold
Netflix
me
right
on it.
now.
I'm definitely going to check it
Yeah,
out now.
it's yeah. I kind of want to talk about it with people. I didn't look online to see if anyone has watched it, but yeah, it's good. There's some other actors in it. There's no one that huge in it. Oh, actually, I meant to talk about Theo Rossi is actually in it from Army of the Dead.
Okay.
But yeah, he has actually a very interesting role, and it's completely different from his character in Army of the Dead because in Army of the Dead he's playing this like scumbag who takes advantage of women, and here he's playing this kind of vulnerable. His character, like every like a fanboy, he loves Kevin Hart's character. He goes to all of his movies, his tours, and stuff like that. He's kind of like always around him in terms of trying to just engage with him. So he plays that type of fan. Yeah, he's very good in what he does as well. So yeah, fantastic. Check out True Story on Netflix right now, and I don't think you'll regret it because it's not a fun watch, but it's an entertaining watch.
Yeah, for me, even like I don't care if something is very sad or depressing or not action oriented or anything. For me, even that is entertaining. For me, entertainment is not just fun. It's what keeps me engaged or something that I like to watch. That's also entertainment. So I don't need fun action
Yep.
or stuff. But if it's all the things that you've said about it, then I'm definitely sold on it because that I love these thriller mysteries and plot twist kind of shows and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and even the ending, I think you'll like. It's the type of show where it'll leave you thinking after the ending happens, and then you want to go watch those kind of those videos like Heavy Spoiler
Right,
does, and those type of guys like explained or what this means, stuff like that.
right.
It's definitely one of those. And Netflix just makes awesome
Yeah.
shows. Like
The
it's just
shows of Netflix
they're
are
so entertaining.
mostly good.
Yeah, and like it's just their movies aren't always as good, but actually there's a good one coming this Friday which looks fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Jesse Plemons.
Mm-hmm.
I love Jesse
Yeah.
Plemons. He's such a fantastic actor, and his wife Kristen Dunst in it as well. So I think I forget something has dogs in the title or something like that. I forget what it's called, but that's supposed to be awesome. So looking forward to that on Friday on Netflix.
Awesome. So next up we have Marvel Studios Hawkeye. And okay, so firstly, I have zero interest in this show and the trailers just um were really, really bad. I just didn't like the trailers at all. Like zero interest in that whatsoever. But from some of the clips that were put out from this first episode, it didn't look that bad, but I'm still not interested because some of the stuff that they put out, it just turns me off so much. It looks like CW to me, and it again, I just I just don't feel like watching this one at all. And I am someone who likes the MCU a lot, and I follow every single thing that they put out. I even watched the entire Agents of Shield. So I'm not biased or anything. I just this one just I'm gonna sit this one out. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
so here's 5 reasons why Hawkeye is the greatest show on Disney Plus right now. Um, Haley Steinfeld? No,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's
So
great.
look, I'm gonna like I don't know. I'm just so invested into all of this superhero shit. I'm gonna watch all of it anyway, no matter what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a guy who went to go see X-Men Dark Phoenix, and I love the movie, and
Yeah,
I hate that people don't appreciate what that film kind of
and New
is and stuff like
Mutants.
that. But yeah, New Mutants as well. Like I love the messed up X-Men
Yeah,
universe, big time. But Disney ruined that. Thanks, Kevin Feige. But well, if he brings the X-Men into Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, then I think that'd be pretty cool. But he
just
messed up
for Anya
Quicksilver.
Taylor-Joy alone, you should bring that whole thing back.
Yeah. Actually, the interesting thing is when I'm probably the only person in the world that was watching New Mutants. They had that Logan scene
Yeah,
of Daphne Keene's character. I was like, oh my god, look,
yeah.
they're setting up the universe. They're setting up the universe. Oh, Disney just bought them. This means nothing. So, I was probably the only person going and saying, I was probably the only one at the movie, and then I was the only one going and saying. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I actually have to rewatch New Mutants soon because I thought that was actually a good movie.
Yeah, me too.
Until
I thought there
the
was
third
a
act
couple
was
of things in middle that kind of switched the tone for the movie. You know how it feels like someone comes in and tells you, "Oh, you need to put a dance sequence here."
uh,
That there was a dance sequence in the
I
movie out of nowhere, and that didn't fit the tone of the movie for me. And except that, I liked everything else.
what killed that movie was probably being on the shelf for so long,
Yes,
and then probably
and
I don't
probably
know,
having
like
no
I
connections at all or no future at all.
yeah, there's rumors out there that like Disney got involved with Simon Kinberg's Dark Phoenix and made him cut out a lot of shit
Yeah.
and then reshoot a lot of shit as well, which probably did happen. And then the same with New Mutants, a lot of stuff seemed to be cut there, and it just seemed to be right in the middle. The tone started to switch, which it annoys me that we'll never ever see the cuts of those movies
Mm-hmm.
because Disney came in. But yeah, Hawkeye. That shows how interesting Hawkeye was when we're talking about the X-Men universe. But yeah, look, I'm going to watch all these shows. I'm going to watch episode 3. I'm going to finish out this season. There's only like 6 episodes. We only have 4 weeks to go, and there is rumors that Vince D'Onofrio's Kingpin will show up in it as well, which will be cool. But then I seen some leaked stuff. I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know if you've seen it.
I saw
They're
it,
going
but I
for
don't
more of
think that's real. It looks so bad.
yeah, but there is talk that they're going to do something similar like that. So it is going to look like the comic books. He's going to be bigger, but I don't think I don't think it'll look exactly like that because it looked like the Into the Spider-Verse Kingpin, which is just looks ridiculous in live action.
Yep.
I think there's a way to do it. You can give him like a muscle suit or something like I don't know. There's a better way to do it. But anyway, Vincent D'Onofrio looks big enough. Anyway, he's a big guy, so I don't understand why they're trying to pitch him up like that.
Yeah.
Um, he's supposed to pop up in episode 5, and he probably will because his daughter appears in episode 2, Echo, who's getting her own Disney Plus show as well, and apparently all the rest of the Daredevil cast will be in that show as well, and then Daredevil will get a season 4. But yeah, so this show is about Clint and trying to help Haley Steinfeld's character, who's kind of wrapped up in this big mystery, and then Clint kind of wants to fix everything and go back to his family for Christmas in time for Christmas. So that's basically what this is about. I haven't like when the cast was announced for this, I did think like, oh, this is probably the best MCU cast that you'll see because you've got Vera Farmiga, who's a fantastic actress from the Conjuring movies, Bates Motel. She's just fantastic in anything. You've got Tony Dalton, who was in Breaking Bad lately, or not Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, the spin-off. He's fantastic in that. And then you have Haley Steinfeld, you have Jeremy Renner, Florence Pugh is supposed to appear. So you got a fantastic cast for this. And I thought, oh, this is really promising. Why would these actors sign up to something that is mediocre? Well, of course, money as well, and it's Marvel, but there's like a mystery of who killed somebody, and Haley Steinfeld's character acts like she's 15. At times as well. She's trying to unravel this big mystery. Look, it's a it's a fine, solid watch. A little bit slow. Some of the action is good. Some of the action it cuts too much. The camera cuts too much. You can't really see what's going on, which I hate. I thank the John Wick films for that, for opening my eyes to what real action is in movies and what good action is in movies. That one shot sequences and stuff like that, where you can actually see the actor. But yeah, I think I'll watch episode 3. But there's nothing really to talk about, is there? These first 2 episodes, I don't think there's anything major or anything like that. I think Jeremy Renner's like saving the show right now, but he's barely in the show. it's a weird one. It's a weird one.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you, and I hope you find Florence Pugh in the finale, and Kingpin maybe in the next episode or something.
I'm just looking forward to Kingpin.
Yeah.
I don't really like Florence Pugh's character.
Oh, you don't?
I'm still okay. I'm not like, oh my god. I don't really care.
Damn.
Black Widow was just fine.
But it's Florence Pugh. Haven't seen Midsommar. She's awesome.
Well, she's cool, but she's awesome. But it's just I don't.
Well,
some of the yeah, man.
Yeah. What can you do? This show has zero things to interest me. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to DC now. We finally have someone from the Batgirl movie talking about their role. And let's bring him up here. Oh yeah, look, it's J.K. Simmons. Okay, so there's been this interview with Josh Horowitz. He has a podcast called Happy, Sad, Confused. And, he recently interviewed J.K. Simmons in depth, like for an hour or something. And they talked about a lot of things. And in the end, he brought up Batgirl. And here's what he had to say.
Flabbergasted that they came back to me, recently and wanted to have me be Commissioner Gordon again, and have it be a more significant role in this has all been announced, right?
Yeah, no, this is Leslie Grace. Yeah. Leslie Grace is playing Barbara Gordon.
Leslie Grace is Batgirl, and and I'm looking forward to. I think I'm going to get on the horn with her and the directors in the next couple of days and do a little preliminary rehearsals on it, and a couple of months from now, they start very soon, and then I jump on board sometime in January over in Glasgow, which is a wonderful place to be shooting it because it's gothic.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be the once and future Jim Gordon.
Yeah, I would think by the nature of the story. I mean, you have Barbara Gordon at the center. James Gordon's going to factor. Have you read the script? Do you have a sense of sort of your part to play in this?
Yeah, and I had a long discussion with the guys about how we want to portray him and the script. I thought. Don't want to give away anything.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So I'm not gonna talk about the structure of it or any of that. But
okay.
I thought it was really an interesting take on introducing Batgirl and giving Jim Gordon fleshing him out certainly more than I had a chance to do in my first foray into that.
Okay, so there's a lot of key points to take away from this interview. Especially, okay, let's start with some less obvious things. The more obvious things. He said he again praised the script, right? He said he was going to say it was a very great script and get into that, but he stopped, right? This is another of Christina Hodgson's scripts that people are praising and are excited about to join the movie. The previous one being The Flash, and Ben Affleck praised that script, and all the other people praised that script, and we're excited for them to return. So it seems like she has a sense of what the DCEU is and who are the characters inside the DCEU, what gets fans excited about the DCEU and all that stuff. So I think she has that locked. But yeah, hearing him praise her script as well, nobody asked him to do that. Nobody asked him about the script, but everyone just keeps mentioning the script. And this is not common. Like, people don't usually praise the script this much, But that was one of the takeaways from this, I think. And another one is that he, I think, accidentally confirmed that it's going to be a significant role. And we didn't know that before. He was in the Snyder Cut as well as the Justice League movie. And in both versions, he has just one scene or something, but not a significant role, right? Because that's not a Batman Gordon story. So you would expect that to be like that. But when he was cast for this movie, even I thought that, being Barbara Gordon's father, I thought that there would at least be, more screen time with him than he got before. But him saying significant means that the Barbara Gordon character shares a lot of scenes with him and probably has a very emotional arc and stuff with him in the movie, and he's integral to the story. So that's pretty good. And I wonder what happens to Barbara. But
yeah.
So stuff like this is just very fascinating to me. And then there's one more thing that we will talk about. But before that, what did you think of this interview, and what are your key, takeaways from this?
Yeah, it's an actor film that they're in. It's J.K. Simmons, and he's a terrific actor. So he's in high profile stuff all the time. He's Invincible. He's in Spider-Man. He's in Justice League. Now he's going to be in Batgirl. So that's fantastic. But he's not going to shit in the script. He's not going to shit on the story. But I think what he can't lie about is, I have a bigger role. A substantial role. So that's fact.
Mm-hmm.
And if he read the script and he liked the script and he's in more of it, then he must have liked the script if he accepted the deal. And he thought that chapter was done of him being Commissioner Gordon because the 2017 Justice League came out and that was just badly received and didn't make that much money. Snyder Cut came out, it was well received, but it's a streaming movie and we don't know what's going to happen with that franchise because there's no numbers to back it up and it seems to be hid away by Warner Brothers and stuff like that. But not too many actors did press for that even. So it's not like there was a big massive premiere where J.K. Simmons got to go and watch the Snyder Cut, and Jeremy Irons and these guys, even Jeremy Irons with Sean O'Connell on Cinema Blend, he hasn't watched the Snyder Cut yet. Like he has it at home, but he hasn't watched it. Like that's not like bad, right? And a lot of actors don't watch the stuff that they're in. They don't even watch movies full stop just because it's the job to them. But, it's hard, but I'm saying it's hard from J.K. Simmons' perspective to see how he would come back for more Justice League when there was no real hype around the Snyder Cut in terms of a business point of view, in terms of a big premiere or interviews and stuff. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. It just came out. So he thought that was done. But it's fantastic to see him going to be in this movie because he's a great actor. And I talk about this all the time, where you have somebody like Leslie Grace who's unknown. You have a Batgirl character who is unknown as well. She's never been in a massive movie before. Last one was Batman and Robin 1987, which didn't do that well and was over 20 years ago now at this stage, and she hasn't really been in anything since of high profile. So you're going to have people who don't know the character of Batgirl, who don't know Leslie Grace, and for them to click play, they're going to need something to click play. And if you have Brendan Fraser in the marketing, people love Brendan Fraser. That's cool, I'll watch with him. You watch the movie because Brendan Fraser's in it. Wow, J.K. Simmons in it. I loved him in Spider-Man. Spider-Man No Way Home. He was so funny. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch J.K. Simmons. Ben Affleck, if he's in the movie and he's used for the marketing, Ben Affleck's Batman, cool, I'll watch that. And then when you start watching the movie, you're like, oh, this Leslie Grace, this actress is pretty good. Batgirl's pretty cool. Look at what she did there, And then for Batgirl 2, or if she's going to be in Birds of Prey or whatever, people are interested in the Batgirl character now because they've seen her before.
Right.
They've watched for all the other variables, and now they're watching for Leslie Grace because she's awesome. So those are the things that I think you need in some stories when you have an unknown character. But yeah, J.K. Simmons, he's good things to say about Christina Hodson. Hopefully he's on a bit of a roll. I liked Bumblebee.
Yeah. Me too.
I prefer the Michael Bay. I think story wise it was better than like the Michael Bay ones, but I like the Michael Bay ones because I love all the action. I love Shia LaBeouf
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I'm a big Michael Bay fan, so like those that 4 movies that Michael Bay made, I watch them anytime. They're fantastic. But, the Sweet movie, more or less for kids, I would say Bumblebee, and it did pretty like it catered to all ages. I mean, and it did well enough. So, and then Birds of Prey. I like that for what it was. Of course, I talked about the story choices that they used before and stuff I don't like, but other than that, I thought it was a fine film. And now Ben Affleck, we got him to come back for the Flash movie, and it's going to be a huge movie. And then she's doing Batgirl, and maybe Ben Affleck again, but J.K. Simmons signed on, so that's pretty big. And who knows who else will be in this movie? Brendan Fraser signed on. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool to have
Brendan
a DC
Fraser.
property. He's been in some massive movies, so it's awesome to see him in this, and he'll definitely attract eyes to it. So yeah, it's everything so far is pointing in the right direction. That this is going to be. It seems to be a good movie. They're going to start shooting. I think they're next few weeks, or maybe they started in pre-production right now.
Mm-hmm.
Same cinematographer from what movie was it? They announced on their Instagram. One blank. Again, just a second. But
right.
Everything so far.
They're
Yeah, everything so far.
yeah, hold on, let me check that.
Everything so far just seems fantastic about this movie. And then there was kind of people thought that J.K. Simmons kind of stuttered when he was going to say Ben Affleck. I don't know. People thought that. I didn't think of it watching it the first time. That people rewatched it and stuff and said, "Oh, he was going to say Ben Affleck there," but he stopped himself. And then some people were saying, "There's a bit cut out in the interview. If you could notice here, he's looking one way, or his facial expression is one way, and then just cuts to another facial expression." So he obviously said Ben Affleck's Batman right there. So I don't know if that was the case. I didn't pick that up. I think maybe he stopped himself from saying something, but I don't know if he was going to say Ben Affleck. But then again, the director did post something new on their Instagram a few days ago of like a meme of like a guy wearing his cat and the 3 stages of it, and then the 4th was Ben Affleck's Batman. A lot of Batfleck teases for a movie that is featuring Batman.
Yeah. Oh. Look, a lot of times we kind of speculate on stuff based on just theories, but here we have a lot of hints, actual hints from the directors and stuff that Batfleck might be in the movie. Like, he hasn't stopped talking about that, and he has hinted at this before. Like, right from Christina Hodson's script, this being in the DCEU, J.K. Simmons being cast as Gordon, and the director just teasing the Bat cowl, Ben Affleck's cowl. And then, him going on some Dutch interview and talking about Batman and saying that, oh, in this movie, it will be the Batman or the real Batman or something like that. So, yeah. After that, the thing you said, the cat meme, which is right over here, obviously. So, yeah. A lot of things that hints at, Ben Affleck's Batman. And even one more thing, the Gotham that they are shooting in is the one that's Ben Affleck's Gotham, Batfleck's Gotham, which is in Glasgow, and the Flash movie is also shooting the scenes there. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's very obvious that it's going to be Ben Affleck, and I don't know, some fake scoopers or whatever they keep calling, the people who think that Ben Affleck's going to be in this stupid because they think that Keaton is going to be here, which I find literally no reason. As of right now, even after all these hints, Keaton is in this movie. If they think that, I don't think that's a rational theory to have. But apart from that, I do think that Batfleck will be in this movie. Maybe just for a cameo, maybe a bat suit action scene, whatever. But yeah, I do think that he's going to be in the movie. Whether or not I believe that J.K. Simmons accidentally said Ben, I think so. He kind of said Leslie Grace as Batgirl and something, and then it cut, right? So why would he mention anything else if he was mentioning the cast, and they were just talking about what was announced. So maybe he didn't know that Ben Affleck wasn't announced.
He didn't even know that he was announced.
Yeah.
wasn't even too sure. So yeah, he definitely said something that was cut. So I don't know what he said. He could have said, I don't know. I could have said Ben. That's pretty cool. But the director is pointing on the right direction that it's Ben Affleck's Batman. I had I talked about. I didn't necessarily believe that the clip was cut when he said Ben Affleck, but I did say like the possibility of him maybe saying Ben Affleck. And I fully, even before a clip, I've been saying that I think Ben Affleck's in the movie.
Yep.
That's just because I think it. Just because the director's been posting all this shit about Ben Affleck's Batman, not Michael Keaton, not Robin Pattinson, not Christian Bale. It's been Ben Affleck's Batman. So I don't know. Like I had some idiot come at me because I was talking about it, and then they're like, then I compared it to Spider-Man. Like he's like, oh, what if Ben Affleck's in it? Why haven't they announced it? Why haven't they been showing him in the marketing or whatever? And I'm like, I just had a picture of Spider-Man. No Way Home. Why isn't Toby and Andrew in any of the marketing?
It's so stupid.
They called me an idiot for saying, oh, if you think Spider-Man No Way Home and Batgirl and Ben Affleck is the same thing, well, it kind of is, because the biggest thing in the DCU is kind of Batman and Superman. The biggest thing in Marvel is Spider-Man, and you're not showing the two biggest Spider-Mans. And then if they pop up in the film, word of mouth would be insane. You know, idiot.
Yeah, it's whatever. Like
we all know.
I think that
we'll all know when the movie comes out.
I think we should just wait for the movie, because a few months ago we didn't have any info on Batgirl, and at that time, if you were making a claim that Keaton was going to be the Batman in this movie, it would probably be one possible theory. But as things stand right now, I think that's just a wild thing to say. Like, I think there's 0% chance.
I never understand these people that like the Snyder Cut will never happen, or they say these statements like it's guaranteed this will never happen, and then when it does happen, you're just leaving yourself to be open. You're just digging a bigger hole every single time, and it continues. It's like the Flash will reboot the DCU. I've been hearing that since 2016, after the opening weekend of Batman v Superman, that the Flash is going to reboot the DCU, and yet Birds of Prey and Shazam have had references to the characters within this universe.
Yeah.
You know, and there's talk of Jason Momoa being in Wonder Woman 3. Like, I've been hearing this for years. It's just another narrative by bloggers to get clicks and to make up this shit. And maybe at one time it was true.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Change.
Yeah.
Things change all of the time. The Snyder Cut came out, and then you had the special effects artists from that movie now working on the Flash movie.
Yep.
You know, Ben Affleck read the script of the Flash movie and was like, this is pretty good. I think I'll come back. Things change all of the time. And now, like maybe at the time when Michael Keaton was first announced, they were thinking, okay, so Ben doesn't want to do it anymore. Jesus, we need a DCU Batman or somebody like to show up and be connected to the movies. Okay, Michael Keaton, can we bring him back in some way for this Flashpoint Paradox kind of movie? Okay, cool. And then Ben Affleck decides to come back and like, all right, now we got two Batmans. Okay, what can we do? Let's switch it up a bit. Like circumstances change. Yeah. Henry Cavill, which we'll talk about, has been talking about Superman. People said he was done. He was never coming back. Guarantee you, he'll play Superman again.
Yep.
And it's just things always change all the time. It's never set in stone. Like what movie have we had come out this year that was like Ghostbusters? The original guys were back in this movie. Ghostbusters is out now. Keanu Reeves did Bill and Ted 2 or 3 that came out either earlier this year or at the end of last year. What other movies?
Forget even other movies. In the DCEU itself, what movie was ever exactly the same story as when it was announced? It always changed. Yeah. BVS changed.
Jared Leto was done as Joker.
Justice League changed.
I kind of brought him back.
Suicide Squad changed.
Like
Birds of Prey changed. Every movie changed. The Flash movie changed 5 times now.
Yeah, and just say, for example, Zack Snyder was brought back to the DCU. Things change again.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to bring back some of the stories. Wayne T. Carroll will be Green Lantern. Jesse Eisenberg will be back. Things always change all of the time. So you can never say they're set in stone at all.
Yeah.
Anytime. It's fascinating. And who would have thought that? I won't say that there's a leak who's in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Who would have thought Kevin Feige would have brought back that actor to play that character that's going to be in that movie? Nobody. But then circumstances change and then multiverse stories are implemented. Anything can happen.
It's wild. And yeah, we're not even saying that Ben Affleck coming back would be set in stone, because even that could change. Like 1 month before his 1 week or 1 day before he is ready to film his scenes or whatever, he might get an injury or something, and then he might not be in the movie. Like anything can
Or he may
happen.
have different movies.
Yeah.
He might get a big directing gig that he can't do it. Like, things happen, things change.
Yeah,
It's just
just
like
wait.
Abdul Malti II was announced to be in Mad Max like 4 months ago. Today he dropped out over scheduling conflicts. He
Oh,
can't be in the movie anymore.
damn,
So
dude.
things all things always change. Things always change.
Maybe he's signed on for Matrix, the next one.
Hopefully.
But yeah, one more thing I wanted to touch on before we move on to the next topic is that there's been rumors twice now that Black Canary will be a part of this film, and she will be well, not introduced because she was introduced in Birds of Prey, but she will have okay. So the first rumor was from the scooper Daniel RPK. The first rumor was that this movie will tie into the Black Canary movie, right? And because of that, some people were speculating that maybe she has a cameo at the end or something, or Batgirl meets her or something like that, right? And just today or yesterday, I think, he also put out that yes, she will be part of this movie. So whether that's just a cameo at the end or she will have something to do with a plan Batgirl has in this movie or something, we don't know that. But yeah, that's the rumor. And look, I didn't like Birds of Prey, but there are some characters and some things that I like about that movie. Um, Huntress is one of them, but Black Canary is definitely one of them. Like Journey, I just love her as an actress. She's absolutely phenomenal. In Lovecraft Country, she was very, very good, and she showed what she can do in that show. And I'm forever going to be looking out for her career, any movie and any show she's in, because she's just a great actress. And she's also really fun, outside of the movies. She has a very good personality, so it's fun watching her in movies. And I thought she was great as Black Canary as well. And she was also one of the people who were excited about the Snyder Cut when it was coming out. She kind of posted subtle tweets about that. And now, if this is true that she's indeed part of this movie, it makes me even more hyped for this movie because there's a lot of things that I like that's in Batgirl. So yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah, well, there's the Black Canary movie coming or HBO Max series coming as well, and talks about Birds of Prey 2 happening with Batgirl as the leader and stuff. So those rumors are true, then her appearing in Batgirl backs up a lot of those reports as well. So yeah, we're getting more of that character, which is awesome. So, but first and foremost, it has to be a Barbara Gordon movie, and Leslie Grace has to be the star of that movie, which I'm sure she will be. She'll be fantastic. But there's Brendan Fraser, there's J.K. Simmons, maybe Ben Affleck, and we still don't. I'm sure there'll be one or two other side actors that will be in this as well, which will be pretty big enough profile. So yeah, there's more stuff to come out of this movie, which is fantastic. But yeah,
yeah. So yeah, let's hope it's a great movie as well. And now moving on to the next topic, which is Henry Cavill, his GQ interview actually. Well, hold on, let me just set this up. There's an ad playing on YouTube, so let me just skip that.
Should buy the premium, man. If anyone wants to become a Patreon, they can buy us the premium.
No, but yeah. All right, so here's a video. Okay, so Henry Cavill has a GQ interview, and he talks about Zack Snyder's Superman arc. He talks also about Man of Steel, and basically he is pitching for a Man of Steel 2 solo movie, and yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I was very keen on really fleshing out Superman's early stages of his journey first. We had Man of Steel, and then we went quite a bit darker with Batman v Superman. And if he were to succumb to the anti-life equation and become bad Superman, I really wanted to make sure that we saw the hero, Superman, and we saw the true symbol of hope, the beacon of light, before we went down the path of darkness and then redemption. And still something that I am very keen to flesh out. Man of Steel. The wonderful thing about Man of Steel and what Snyder and Nolan and I wanted to do with Superman was create a Superman who was accessible in the sense that what would we do if we lived in a world where we had to keep every single aspect of ourselves hidden and we couldn't really truly interact with people, and how would that affect us? It's especially when you have that scene with Kevin Costner who's saying, look, don't reveal yourself. The world is not ready for you yet, and it'll only be a bad thing. Clark does follow that advice at first, but then realizes that's not the way to go, and that he must do what he must do regardless of that advice. And that was the beautiful bit, is that even though he has restrained himself and lived this life of loneliness, essentially, he's still willing to step out of the shadows and become the hero, despite the fact that it's going to have a negative impact on his life. And that, I think, is the aspect of that symbol of hope. He's representing everything that is good about mankind, despite the fact that mankind may not be good to him.
Don't do this! Stop!
At the end of Man of Steel, it was set up so wonderfully to begin that journey, because he had had his first outing against the last surviving member of his species, and had to kill him, and that is going to inform a lot of who he becomes. The terrible destruction of Metropolis, where he's fighting someone who has the same powers of him, but actually has training. He barely makes it out of that thing alive. And so what lessons has he learned? He definitely isn't going to kill anymore. And he's definitely going to make sure that population centers are completely removed from the equation, because now he's experienced it and now he's thinking about it. And so we get those steps towards building that incredible, wise version of Superman, rather than the still wet behind the ears kind. The Witcher.
All right, so yeah, he basically it seemed like he was basically pitching a movie to Warner Brothers, because the way he was praising what he praising Man of Steel and understanding what his arc was going to be, praising Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan, and explaining to people what some of the scenes in Man of Steel meant, because even to this day some people don't understand them, and he was fully supportive of that, and I loved seeing that. But he rarely talks about Man of Steel or BVS or even Justice League, right? He rarely talks about all that stuff. But this was one moment where he talked in depth about Man of Steel and those controversial scenes or whatever. I don't know why they're controversial, but they are. And also, the thing to note is he, for the first time ever, I think, after that whole Justice League debacle, he mentioned Darkseid's arc. Like, he mentioned that Superman was going to succumb to the anti-life, and that's in the Snyder Cut. So I think, look, we've been saying for a while now that, we think that Zack Snyder's Justice League releasing changed a lot of things in the DCEU, and a lot of people finally understood what he was doing, and and they liked what he was doing, and they kind of wanted to connect their movies to that because it's such a rich world and it's already set up. Why do you want to create new stuff and be standalone? So why not just have that as your starting point, and you can build off of that. That's what Zack's arc always was, right? And even Cavill is now pitching this Man of Steel 2 since like 2018, and it's still not made. I don't know why. I just think that they should go make it. Like, why not? It's like the time between Man of Steel and BVS is like 18 months, and they can easily make a movie in that. Like, a movie can just happen for like 2 or 3 days as well. Like, in the movie time span, I'm saying. So 18 months is like 2 or 3 movies if you want. So yeah, I don't think that, people are saying that having a movie between Man of Steel and BVS could ruin the continuity. I don't think that. I think that, if you don't want to ruin the continuity, if you want to keep it intact, you can still make a movie and do that. And you can still show that Superman that was before BVS happened. Like, he was out in the world, helping people, saving cats from the trees or whatever, being that symbol of hope. Because to be honest, we haven't seen much of that. So it would be really awesome to see that, and people would love it. I think people are complaining about Zack Superman only because of that reason. They just want to see that one scene of Superman saving some children or saving some cat out of the trees or whatever, because people are superficial. I don't know, but yeah. I mean, I'm being facetious here, but yeah, I think that a movie like that could actually help bring a lot of people back to this Superman. I think a lot of people would be happy about that. So why not? It's no harm, right? So yeah, there's a time gap. Go ahead and make it. But what did you think of his comments, and why do you think it enraged some people?
Yeah, well, James M in the comments just has a few interesting points. So he wants to do a Man of Steel sequel that takes place after Justice League. Not really, in a way. Well, it depends what kind of story. I don't really mind continuity that much.
He has been saying since
DCU
2018 that
the
he
X-Men
wants
universe.
the movie to be set right after Man of Steel. He's always mentioned
Man
that.
of Steel 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I don't really mind too much if they don't really talk about Batman v Superman. You just have like the sequel to Man of Steel in terms of continuity. I'm not one of those guys. You don't really have to. It's like Logan, you can pick and choose what movies you reference in the movie. But, I just want a good movie. To be honest with you, I don't want to piss off people in terms of like the continuity of Batman v Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League and the arc that was being told there. But like, just make a really good Superman movie first, and then we can worry about the other stuff or implement them if you want to. That's just how I feel about it. But James also said Warner Bros. Hates Henry Cavill, especially since he didn't do the Shazam cameo, which hurt that movie box office. Yeah, well, I like, whose fault is it there right now? You have Henry Cavill who's playing Superman, and he wanted a bigger contract. He's playing Superman, and they wouldn't pay it. And then Henry Cavill's in every right to deny the contract that they offer him. He's an actor. That's his life. That's what he does for a living. But I'll tell you what, it would have been a lot cheaper in 2018 to pay Henry Cavill than it is right now to pay Henry Cavill, because Mission Impossible, the Snyder Cut did pretty well. The Witcher, Sherlock Holmes, that franchise, he just wrapped filming that today. His star power has gone up insanely since 2018, 2017, since Justice League came out. And Warner Brothers wouldn't pay him what he wanted then. Well, get ready now. If you want to use him now, you're going to pay a ridiculous amount of money. But also, if Warner Brothers didn't want to use him, didn't want to pay him, we don't want you. We'll get Michael B. Jordan as our Superman on HBO Max or whatever they're going to do. The one variable that Warner Brothers can't say no to is The Rock and Danny Garcia, which is The Rock's agent and Henry Cavill's agent. Mm-hmm. If The Rock turns around to Warner Brothers and says, we want to do a post-credit scene with Henry Cavill's Superman, and Warner Brothers is like, we don't have a contract with him right now. yeah, we'll get out and get a contract with him right now. Look, my agent is his agent. Do something right now. Or I want Black Adam 2 is going to be Superman v Black Adam. Make it happen, Warner Brothers, because The Rock is huge in terms of box office, Netflix, streaming, anything. So to piss him off is not a good idea. And the DCU that he's building with the Justice Society of America and what he wants to do with Superman, he's calling out the Justice League. That's very interesting. That can be big box office for Warner Brothers. So if he wants Henry Cavill Superman, he's going to get Henry Cavill Superman. And that's where I think he will appear first. I think Black Adam will have either a huge reference to Superman or Henry Cavill maybe even show up as a cameo. But I definitely think that's the direction.
Well, the
big
Flash
time.
movie's coming out before that.
Well, no, Black Adam then the Flash. So,
yeah.
So I think he could definitely pop up in the Flash as well. But I think we get a strong reference to him in Black Adam. Then we have Shazam coming as well.
That's the.
Kravlu is saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry for mispronouncing your name. Kravlu. Warner Brothers have a beef with Cavill because he wanted a contract for movies and cameos, not just cameo.
Yes.
Yeah. That's 100% true as well. There's a big beef between the two of them, but like that's what I just think. I think the common denominator is The Rock. I think he's the one who's just causing so much influence there right now because he wants Superman. And every time he has an interview with Black Adam, he's talking about Superman, his weakness, his magic, this kind of bullshit, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Calling out Superman. He wants that big showdown, big time, and Warner Bros. Will have to bow down to The Rock and give him that because you don't want to piss off the biggest movie star in the world. And like what was big as well? Henry Cavill in that interview we talked about a few weeks ago, he talked about Captain Britain.
Yeah.
Talked about Marvel. And those things are strategic. He might not necessarily want to play that character, but he drops it because it's Marvel. The Rock a few years ago, when Black Adam was still kind of, is this film going to end up shooting? What's going on with Black Adam? The Rock dropped that he had a meeting with Kevin Feige. Then what do you know? Black Adam is rolling into production. They're getting ready to shoot. Because Marvel is the big scary baddie for Warner Brothers and all these big companies because they don't want to lose their talent. So when Henry Cavill's dropping Marvel and Captain Britain, those things are strategic. Those things come from his agent. Those things are planned because Warner Brothers is like, shit, he's a big star right now. We want him. We have to get him because Marvel will come in and get him. And Marvel will come in and get him. I guarantee you, if he's not used in the next year and a half, he'll be in the MCU big time. And then Jason says, don't piss off The Rock. Yeah, I'm more excited for The Rock's DCU than Walter Hamada's DCU. I just think he's a yes man. And for the Rock, a big time. But then James goes, well, why announce another Superman project with another actor? Well, things we just talked about earlier in the show, things change. Robin Pattinson's the Batman now. Michael Keaton's the Batman. Ben Affleck's the Batman. Michael B. Jordan's HBO Max series, I think he'll be the Superman in that. But that's happening with Val Sod. The J.J. Abrams one's happening as well. Henry Cavill can still be Superman. Jared Leto's Joker was in the Snyder Cut. He was in Suicide Squad. He was referenced in Birds of Prey. Joaquin Phoenix. Rumors of a number 2 happening there. I don't know if it will or not.
J.K. Simmons even said that it's a multiverse. Like there can be 9 different Batmans running around, and it's okay.
I told you guys what I heard about a Joker in Matt Reeves' movie as well. So like, it doesn't really matter at this stage. But I can understand where everyone's coming from big time. But yeah, but Henry Cavill's comments, it's like, Henry, pitch us your Man of Steel 2, and he just did it. So it's exciting. It's interesting. And it's not like he just disregards Man of Steel or Batman v Superman or Justice League. He actually talks about these things, which is interesting in its own right, and the anti-life equation and submitting to that, and eventually we will get there.
Yes.
So it sounds like to me that he wants like Man of Steel. I want a Man of Steel 2. Just get. I want to. You know what? A Man of Steel 2 where Superman is realizing like not to kill and stuff like that. That would elevate Batman v Superman if done right.
Exactly. Big
time. Because there's scenes where he could just kill Batman in an instant if he wanted to, or he could kill Lex Luthor, but he decides not to. And I would like to see when he came to that realization not to do it, which would be Man of Steel 2, whatever journey it is. And then like Man of Steel 1, Man of Steel 2, Batman v Superman, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. And then you could do another Man of Steel movie, or you could do the Justice League movie, and then I don't know what the Flash movie sets off or Black Adam sets off, but yeah, there's definitely ways to do it, and I think he will play the character again. He's very passionate about it, and these are all very, very interesting line of interviews, him talking about the character. Because if you remember when The Witcher came out season 1, which was like 2 years ago down at this stage, he was asked Superman questions, but he never really talked about he never talked about it in this detail. or dispassionately. He just talked about, the cape's still in the closet. I would love to go and do it again. I don't know if there's a Snyder cut. Now things change. His perspective has changed, and he's more open to it and more kind of, he realizes how big of a star he is right now.
Let me, okay, so before I tell you what I was going to say, I just think that's ironic and really funny that Warner Brothers, what you said, that, Warner Brothers just dropped the ball on signing him back then, and they are eventually signing him now anyway, and that's even more expensive than it was before. So yeah, they should have got their priorities straight. He's a DCEU Superman. He's the face of the DCEU. There's no way you deny the contract. There's no way. Your entire universe will just fall to the ground if you don't sign Superman. But anyway, what I was gonna say is, let me put this. Let me pitch this to you. What if this interview? Obviously, this interview is done on purpose. He's pitching all that. But what if, like we think, he's already signed for cameos, right? That there was that report back in February of 2020 that Henry Cavill has no plans for a new movie, but he is going to appear as cameos in other DC movies. That was the official report at that time, and a lot of people just ignored that. But now, as the DCU kept progressing, Justice League came out, the Flash movie and all those plans, Batgirl and all those plans. I think the DCU is going to be definitely more connected going forward, and I've been saying that all year. And now let me say this. What if Cavill has cameos in Black Adam and The Flash and Shazam 2, right? And what if he already knows that, and he knows that people will probably like that he is in those, and because of that, the interest in a Superman solo movie will rise again, right? So maybe because of that, he is, in anticipation of that, he's already getting ahead of it and pitching the movie and what the movie would be about now, so that Warner Brothers can get in plans with him and make that damn movie. Because I think that movie is definitely going to be made one day. I think so for sure. Henry Cavill's Man of Steel solo movie is definitely going to be made.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely laying the foundation, but I think what will make it happen is if Black Adam's a hit, and his Superman and that is awesome, or it's really like, if Flash is a hit, if Shazam 2 is a hit, if those variables of movies are hits and do pretty well, then I think it's better in his favor for a Man of Steel 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he's just laying the foundation right now. But the movies have to do the talking for themselves. They have to do well.
Yeah.
And then there's no excuse. Really, really, really isn't, because the last one that had Superman, Justice League, didn't do that well in 2017. And the Snyder Cut came out this year. I think it opened so many doors, big time. And Henry Cavill, say what you want, but he was promoting that on his Instagram, the Snyder Cut, 2 times. A few other actors didn't. Even when the movie came out, they didn't even talk about it. And Henry Cavill did. So say what you want about him. I think he's a big advocate of Snyder's Superman, but he isn't stupid either. He knows that version was very divisive, when it came out in 2016.
Yeah. And
that kind of darker Superman. But he's not against that idea. He just wants to go on more of a journey before he gets to the anti-life equation.
Yeah.
Which is, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. That's just his opinion. That's what he thinks would cater best to the character.
And that's what WB wants more of.
Yeah, and then you can eventually do that, because it would add a lot more to Superman if he went through these journeys a little bit more in depth and then got to the anti-life equation. And Zack Snyder was doing it beautifully as well, but it's not the only way to do these things when Zack is not there.
Yeah.
If Zack is not going to be there, he's going to be on Netflix, then there's definitely a different way to get towards that.
And there's a big gap, like I said, between Man of Steel and BVS, where you can easily fit a movie.
Yeah, Batman was isolated, training for Superman, learning about Superman, doing his own thing, and a lot could have happened. And it's just the God v Superman fight is what made Batman have this vengeance towards Superman.
Mhm.
Like there could have been some other big story going on there. It doesn't even have to be on Earth.
Look, the
The story doesn't even have to be on
Man of
Earth.
Steel ended with Clark joining Daily Planet, right? You can just pick right up from there. You can start with, Daily Planet scenes. You can have scenes of people rebuilding after that, Dark Black Zero event, because that was a huge event in that universe, right? And it's very devastating probably for a lot of people. So you can show how people are building up, how he was being helpful, how he was being the symbol of hope for those people. You can show all that before BVS, and it's perfectly okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, it might be some small continuity errors in terms of the media never covered it in their reports. But as we know, media is very biased in agendas and narratives. If Superman Beast saw it cause so much destruction and so many deaths, then the narrative would be to paint Superman as a bad guy and Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And they would ignore the good things that Superman did.
Yeah.
Which could have been in Man of Steel too. So there's ways to get around it and things.
Exactly.
Progress the story forward.
Exactly. But yeah, we shall see where Henry Cavill Superman flies to. But yeah, moving on to the next topic is Zack Snyder's posting a Thanksgiving picture, a video actually, which shows a comic book in the background. Which is Final Crisis, and a lot of people actually took this way too looked into it way too much, I would say. But I think that this is just Zack teasing his fans, with Easter eggs and stuff. He always has this in every interview he has, in every time he makes an appearance on camera, he has something in the background to tease the fans. That doesn't mean that all those things have their own movies coming. It just feels like Zack is that type of person who likes to do this fun stuff. It's fun, but I think a lot of people are taking this as confirmation that he's doing Final Crisis or whatever, which I'm not saying that's not happening. That could very well happen, but from the movie side of things, I don't think that WB wants anything to do with Zack, and I don't think Zack wants anything to do with DC right now as the current management stays there. But if they are gone, then I can see something happening. But there's WB Animation, there's DC Comics, and those two divisions don't have the bosses that don't like Zack, right? So he could very well be working with Jim Lee on a comic. He could very well be working with Jay Oliva on a animated movie, whatever. So I think if there's something more to it, I think it's probably more in that direction. But I don't think there's something more to it. I just think that he is teasing his fans. That's it. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think there's something more to this post?
It looks like a pretty nice turkey, though.
Yes.
Very
good turkey.
I'm guessing Deborah cooked it. I don't know. She seemed to be the one at the side of the video. Maybe she wasn't. I don't know. She was at the side of the video, was she? Yes, she was. And I think she was very proud of her turkey. Maybe, I don't know. But it looked nice. So I hope the Snyders had a pretty good Thanksgiving. But it was. Look, Zack always has deeper meanings and stuff like that, which is cool. And Final Crisis was there, and it looked very deliberate. And there was two kind of maybe storyboard notebooks on top of it as well, where Zack draws his storyboards for his movies. What's he going to do? I don't know if it means anything. But it is interesting all the same, and it's great to have this discussion. And Snyderverse or Restore the Snyderverse has been trending, and even Jason has been saying that it's trending today as well. 71,000. That's pretty good when there's so much No Way Home stuff dropping every single day as well. But James says this post was very controversial. Yeah, it was. The people said, "Oh, it means something." People said it doesn't mean something. And you had the anti-Snyder people just absolutely shitting on people who were making out to be bigger than it was. But yeah, maybe it does mean something. But I think it's more of like we don't know what's going to happen when Discovery, because Toby Emmerich's still right there right now. He's still there, and he hates Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder won't work with him. But he's right not to work with him. And even when the Snyder Cut was announced and Justice League was coming, Toby Emmerich started putting his nose in, trying to change things and stuff like that. So he was always going to be a dickhead towards Zack Snyder. So why would Zack Snyder go back?
Yep.
And then Walter Hamada is there as well. Instead it was a cul-de-sac, then Ann Sarah. These people are still there. We'll have to wait until Zaslav comes in. I don't think Zaslav's going to come in and save everything. Maybe he will, but it's just a lot to have. It's a lot to back on one guy to save everything. When people thought, I remember when Walter Hamada got the job, people were saying, "Oh, he will sort out the DCU."
Yeah. Then Ann
After seeing
Sarnoff.
it, and
Then Jason
Sarah did the
Kyler.
same thing. People sent her gift baskets, and she turned around and basically ate the muffins and spat them in her face. And then we had Jason Kilar, and we thought this guy will do it. There's a lot of politics in Hollywood. These guys protect themselves. They have friends in high places. They continue to get the same jobs. Toby Emmerich and Zaslav are actually they're friends in a way. They've gone golfing and shit like that before. So he could keep him. He might not fire anybody whatsoever. I hope he does gets rid of people. But it might take a while until contracts run out and stuff like that. But he could like these guys as well. We just don't know until he comes into the position. And it's not like he's going to come in day one and change everything. It's going to take 6 months, maybe even a year, for him to get everything he wants in place for how he wants to run the company. It's not just going to happen like that.
Yeah.
Remember when Bob Chapek became the Disney president? We're only seeing now in the last 6 months what his kind of strategic plan is. And a lot of it actually is Disney Plus and what he wants to do there. And he wants some movies in theaters, some movies theatrically, or some movies on streaming exclusively. So we're only seeing what he wanted right now. So it's going to take time to see what Zaslav wants. And we have to wait for those people to leave before Zach would ever go back. And personally, I don't want him to go back if those people are there, because they're just disrespectful. And what they did to him and all he was trying to build was just insanely bad. And now they're trying to build the DCU again. This has started in 2013. How many times have they tried to do this? So, yeah, I don't know if I really want him to go back and work with those people at all. I think I'm very excited what he's doing with Rebel Moon. Looks like the next Star Wars epic type Dune movie we're going to get, which is fantastic. It's going to start shooting soon in some of the Star Wars locations that Episode 4 and 5 did. That's great. There's also the Armyverse, which I love zombies, so I'm a big fan of this. Can't wait for Planet of the Dead. We've got the animated prequel. We've also, I think he has a few indie projects lined up that he wants to do as well, which will probably be done independently, but Netflix will pick them up and distribute them internationally, which is awesome as well. So I think his home is Netflix right now. It's going to take a lot for him to get his head turned and go back to Warner Brothers. And also, if he's on Netflix right now, and people are saying it's only like a 1-year deal or it's only a movie-by-movie basis, I don't know if Zack Snyder is willing to leave the freedom he has on Netflix right now to go over to Warner Brothers and to go through torture again, maybe. Now, I hope that he can do both, and the guy could probably do both fantastically. He's a great director and could shoot back-to-back and things like that as well. No problem whatsoever, but it'll be a lot of work. I don't know if people are saying, people expect him to hand Army of the Dead to somebody else. Matthias,
No.
for example. They think he's going to hand Rebel Moon to somebody else, and he's going to run over to Warner Brothers. Netflix didn't sign Matthias to direct these Zack Snyder movies. Netflix didn't sign random guy number 7 to direct Zack Snyder movies. They hired Zack Snyder to come into Netflix to build their first ever cinematic universe, which they've wanted for a very long time. They thought that would be Jupiter's Legacy with Mark Miller. That didn't work out at all. They had to cancel that shit. And now they have a prequel animated something that nobody gives a fuck about coming out sometime and God knows when. But Zack Snyder's the one who's building this superhero type sci-fi zombie epic world for Netflix. So they have franchises, so they have series, so they have movies, so they have, watch the Armyverse. It links to all of these things right here. That's what Netflix want, because HBO Max have that, Disney Plus have that. Everyone else has a cinematic universe, but Netflix don't. And they've got great movies, they've got great series, but they don't have that connective tissue. And what did they just greenlight in the last week? A Power Rangers cinematic universe where we have movies, where we have shows. So that's what they want to get into. And they didn't just give it to Zack Snyder for a movie or for 2 movies and then him to go away to somewhere else. They want Zack Snyder for the long run, big time. I don't know if Netflix would really appreciate if he decided not to do Planet of the 2 or Army of the Dead 2, if he would give up Remy movies,
There's no
go
way.
over to Warner Bros. I don't think they would appreciate that. And who sold Army of the Dead? Warner Brothers didn't want it. Netflix came in and bought it and let Zack Snyder have a 2-hour and 45-minute runtime on a $90 million budget with that ending, with the prequel shot before, or the sequel announced and coming as the Army of the Dead was coming out. And there's a prequel. I just find it very hard to see him leave right now. I think eventually, he will end up with Warner Brothers and do something DC related. I don't think it's the last DC project we've ever seen him do, but I just think for now, it's going to be very hard for him to do that. I don't know. I have hope that it will happen. I'm trying to be realistic as well from what I can see. But Zack definitely wants to go back and do more Justice League as well. That's no doubt.
Yeah, I agree with you. And look, we can be like these other channels that, keep talking about, oh, it's going to happen. Just wait for the merger, and something is happening behind the scenes. We are hearing things. Keep the hope up and all that shit. We can say all that, but I know from experience even that stuff like that will only hurt you worse when it doesn't happen. So just being realistic, we have to look at everything objectively. Keep your emotions in check or whatever. Look at stuff that's happening objectively. I can promise you that the truth is not bad. I can promise you that. Like there's definitely chances and opportunities where stuff can happen. But like Maher said, not right now. We have to wait when that window of opportunity opens, when the stuff is right at Warner Brothers, when there's no obligations to Netflix, and that's years from now, like 3 or 4 years from now. So we'll just have to wait and see. And we just don't want to be those kind of people, and not even that I don't want to be, I just don't believe that. I just don't believe in giving people false hope and lying to people and all that stuff. So just being realistic is the best way forward, I think, and we know what to expect, we know what not to expect. So yeah.
I do it as well. I'm like, wow, could this, Kevin Smith talked about the Final Crisis book today as well. He posted a funny video and used the hashtag, and I'm like, does he know something? That's pretty strange. That's weird, like how all these stuff are out. Clay Ennis is posting stuff, Clay Staub is posting stuff. Like, I'm like, what's going on right here? It's very interesting, and I get excited as well.
Yeah.
I'm not a Scrooge. I want this to happen.
Yeah.
And I actually think when I see all this stuff happen, I'm like, well, what could this mean, actually? This is actually pretty interesting,
Yeah.
Could we actually get Justice League 2? Which we could. Zack could turn around and do River Moon. He could do Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. He could go and do Planet of the Dead. He could do these stuff. But the thing is, like, he has very long shoots. Very long shoots. Like, Man of Steel was ridiculously long. Batman v Superman was a long shoot. Zack Snyder's Justice League was from April 2016, March, April 2016 to November. That was just the principal photography, the shooting of the scenes. And then there was the post-production. And there was the reshoots that he wants to do. Like, it's a very long shoots for these big movies. He doesn't do small indie movies. So,
Yeah.
It takes him a good chunk of a year and a half to shoot a movie. And then it takes him another, whatever time to all the post-production. So it would take a long time for him to do these things. And I don't know. I actually think he could come on as a writer for Wonder Woman 3 or as a main producer for Wonder Woman 3, definitely. Or a main producer for the next Justice League movie if they were going to do one like that. I think he could definitely do things like that. And eventually he could come back and do a Justice League movie, because then the next story is the Nightmare timeline where everything has gone to shit. And you can incorporate that. Like, Zack Snyder's a team player as well. Like, it's not like he has to have his vision, his world, and that's it. Like, you could have the Flash movie comes out, Black Adam comes out, all these movies come out, and Shazam 2, and then Warner Brothers turn to Zack or whoever's there and says, Zack, will you do Justice League? Will you do a Justice League movie? Will you do the next chapter? And he goes, yeah, but Zack, we need to incorporate Black Adam or Shazam and these characters. Zack would actually do that. In fairness to him, he's a team player. He would take what that is on board. He would like, okay, so it's a couple of new story. I can still keep my old beats and stuff like that, but I have to bring in Black Adam. Oh, this would be cool if I did that. Zack would think up something really cool. So
Yeah.
down the line, as you said, the DCU, you think it's going to be more connected and stuff like that. I think that would be as well.
Exactly.
And if Zack was to come back down the line, he might love Leslie Grace's Batgirl and think, wow, she's brilliant. I have to use
Black
her. I
Canary.
want her to appear. So, the same way he brought in Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Like,
so,
look, the Snyder Cut was his exact vision that he was making in 2016, and yet he added another scene with new characters that weren't gonna be in that movie, right? So things can change, like we said, and even he can change his plans. So don't be always so rigid of what he would want or not want, right? So he can find. He can probably watch the Batgirl movie and probably find those two characters amazing. Maybe he already had plans of having Black Canary in the Nightmare timeline, but just couldn't get around because of scheduling. Maybe that happened, who knows? Maybe in the second movie he'll have her. Because who would see, Journey Smollett's Batgirl, Black Canary and say no? Like
people are always saying, like, oh, I could never, Shazam would never be in the Justice League. But we've never seen Shazam in Zack's eyes. We've never seen what that Shazam character could be like with Zack Snyder directing him. It could be badass, it could be cool. There could be a progression of stories there that leads Shazam to be the perfect Shazam in Zack Snyder's eyes. He might have lost his family. He might have gone through some hardships in Shazam 1, 2, 3 to lead him to the story of Justice League. I can never understand, like, Zack had an original plan. That plan changes as the time goes on. New stories happen. If George Miller got to come back and do the Justice League Mortal film he never got to do, he would have new ideas after 15 years. It's just the way these guys work. They're creative geniuses. They come up with new ideas, and Armie Hammer wouldn't be in it, but somebody else would be in it as a different character. But it's things always change. You just don't know what's going to happen next. Who would have thought Sam Raimi would be directing Doctor Strange 2?
Mm-hmm.
And he is. That's pretty cool. Just things change so much. Who thought that Jon Favreau, the director of Elf, would be the main helm guy at the Star Wars Disney Plus Lucasfilm work,
right,
with Dave Filoni? I'm more open. I think I'm more open than a lot of people are on Twitter, because they seem so close-minded when it comes to the Snyderverse and what Zack can do and what stories are possible. It's just like, just think what can happen if you just were more open to it all in a way.
Exactly. All right, so let's move on to the last topic of today, and that is Matrix Resurrections. So Matrix has a new teaser with a bunch of new footage. So let's look at it.
Konnichiwa, Japan. I hope you enjoyed the experience of seeing the first Matrix film back on the big screen. And please don't forget our new film, The Matrix Resurrections, is coming out on December 17th. Today is when it all begins. My dear friends in Japan, watch your country turn green. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Welcome to the Matrix.
So yeah, that was a teaser, and look, I'm very, very, very excited for this movie, and it's just one of my favorite movies ever, favorite franchises ever. It's the concept, the world, everything is so amazing. I just wanted to see more, and we're finally getting it. And I just recently watched all 3 movies, and I'm super hyped again for this movie. And all these posters and teasers and trailers that came out seemed very, very cool to me, because the marketing is amazing. Right from the first teaser, the time thing, how meta it was so amazing to see all that, and I'm just loving all the marketing for this movie. The posters are great, the teasers are great, and there's some new stills that came out that are giving out some of the theories that we might have for this movie, which is also interesting. But yeah, I'm definitely loving the marketing for this movie, and these posters are also crazy good.
Yeah, there was a poster that came out there today or yesterday, which actually confirmed who Priyanka Chopra's character is playing.
Oh, really?
My theory was, I think our theory was that it was going to be Sati,
Yeah.
which was the little girl that was with Oracle. And it's a Korean poster or a Japanese poster, one of those posters, or it could be, it's different, some nationality. But in it, it's translated to Sati, the poster. So she's playing that character.
So she
That's been
is,
given
right.
away.
Nice.
She is, yeah, and I've heard that the guy who is in the therapist scene with Keanu Reeves saying back to where it started, back to the Matrix, that will be a rebooted version of Agent K or Agent Smith.
Right.
Agent Smith. That's what I think as well, and I think that Neil Patrick Harris, when he's doing this, I think he's the architect. I think there's a rebooted versions of it, or there are Matrix within the Matrix,
Right.
to keep Neo. You know,
I think
oblivious
they
to
are
what
actors playing
exactly is going on.
those guys.
Really?
Yeah. In the movie, I mean, not
There's-
the actual actors. I mean, they are.
Yeah.
I think Yahya Martin's character is an actor playing Morpheus in the movie.
There's that teaser that I shared. That was from a few days ago, and there was another teaser that dropped. I couldn't really get it on Twitter or anything, but like it showed Neo. It's funny because Neo has those VR goggles on, and he has like was that in that teaser? I'm not too sure. And he was holding on to things, so he's in a matrix within a matrix, in a virtual reality within a virtual reality, which is funny. And I wonder why he's doing that. Is he depressed of his life in the Matrix? So he goes into a different Matrix to be happy like we do. We go online, play like games and stuff like that. And there's also a shot of a guy in the real world, in the Matrix, in the movie, the real world, working with a robot. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't.
But he's working. He's giving a fist bump or a nod to a robot that's helping him while he's coding.
Nice.
So that's weird. Especially at the end of the third Matrix was a truce between kind of humans and robots, where the robots would let the humans decide if they wanted to be in the Matrix or out of the Matrix.
Right.
That's interesting. There was also another one of what was it of? It was like I'm forgetting now, but it just shows some of the kind of theories that we had. Are like, what is this film about? Because it's insane that we still don't know.
Yeah.
And who each character is playing, because then there was another shot of Trinity, and she just vanishes. She decodes.
Yeah.
Like, is she real? What's going on there? So, like, there's so many questions about this film. It's a little bit ridiculous that we still don't know, and it's kind of getting all overshadowed because of No Way Home, because it's Spider-Man, and these two movies are so close together.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually excited more for this movie.
I've been saying this. I said this weeks ago. People said I was crazy. I just have a feeling about this one big time. Everything I'm hearing is just insane.
Yeah.
It really is. And Keanu Reeves has seen the movie, and he said that he can't believe that Lana Wachowski was able to. She met up with her sister, but they made the first one, which predicted the next 20 years of society and technology and our attachment to it. And he said, somehow you've taken the same characters, the same concept, and you have told us the story of the next 20 years with technology and our attachment to it. That's promising coming from Keanu Reeves, who was just blown away by the film.
Yeah. And I just want this movie to do so well that they make 2 more movies at least.
I'm like, I really hope this does well. I really hope it makes money.
Yeah.
Because I really want to see more of this world. I think there's huge potential. Because especially in today's world with technology and social media, you could do so much with this.
Exactly.
And even series, you know, like noir animated series would be awesome as well. There's also a shot in this new kind of teaser that was released. I couldn't get online, but I just got the images of it of Sati doing a hand gesture that Oracle did in the movies as well. So is she the new Oracle of this world as well? Because there has to be an Oracle. So is it Sadie?
Yeah.
Growing up, and why is she growing up? Why is she aging up? There's also another shot of Neo in the real world in the Matrix movie looking at. Look, what's the city called in the Matrix world? What's it called? Zion?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
it?
Zion.
Zion, sorry. Yeah, him overlooking Zion on this balcony. So
Yeah.
what's going on there? There's also another shot of them in the kind of the chamber with the robots, the Sentinels all around them, and Neo jumps from one pod over to another pod. But as he's jumping midair, his body is like not fully formed. It's like decoding or it vanishes. And this is in the real world of the Matrix. So I found that weird, really weird. And was also, if you go to, can you bring up the image? I sent it to you in the group. There's an image of there's a group of people standing on a line.
One second.
And in a group, it's in a picture. It's in a like 4 pictures. Maybe I can send it again.
Oh, found it.
So can you look at that image and tell me what you think?
Wait, I don't think
Did you get it? No.
I did, but I think it's low quality. Hold on. Yeah, this image.
What do you see? Is this
People.
the image of them all in a line?
Yes. People of Zion?
Yeah, but what's the end on the left?
A ghost.
Yeah, what's that about? I don't think people can see it on the stream now because it's a little bit cropped out at the edge.
Oh, is it? Okay, let me fix that.
Look, it looks like
There you go.
it's weird because this is the real world now. So how is there a code? How is there like a Matrix figure, an avatar in the real world?
Huh.
Is there somebody? Is the technology advanced so much where there's somebody within the Matrix who is it's not a real person. It's like an avatar, but they're a robot, but they've become so self-aware. They want to help the real people, and now for them, the group travels from the real world into the Matrix. What if there's an avatar that can travel from the Matrix into the real world?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And like you're like, how could they predict? Like they can't predict that. That couldn't happen in our world. But there's something called the Facebook metaverse that we're going into soon, where you can create an avatar and you can go into the Facebook metaverse. And also, guess what? Your Facebook metaverse character is actually you in real life. So you're jumping from that avatar in.
But also,
I wouldn't be surprised.
in the third movie, I think, or the second movie, Neo actually uses his power in real life outside the Matrix. Remember when he stops that Sentinel? It's called Sentinel, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
He stops that in real life, like outside the Matrix. How does he do that? He doesn't have his powers outside, right? But does he?
Well, he's like that's what I'm thinking. Like, what is the Matrix then? What is the real world? Like, is he just a special? Is he just special? He's the only one that can do that. Like, what? Where does it? Where's the line drawn?
Mm-hmm.
And like, how many Matrix are there? is the real world the Matrix? Well, even though the architect said that he knows what they're doing in the real world, like Morpheus, Trinity. They knew the rebellion that was being built.
Mm-hmm.
They needed a purpose outside of the real world, outside of the Matrix as well. So
Jason has a good theory. I don't know if that's what he means by this, but he's asking Morpheus is a Smith. Maybe he misheard you, or maybe that's his theory. But if it's a theory, it's an interesting one. Yes, Agent Smith could be disguising himself as Morpheus to get to Neo. That's one possibility.
But yeah, it could be. There's something up with Morpheus. Like even Abdul Mati said it's actually not the same Morpheus from the original trilogy, which is interesting. So like it could be a big twist coming that he's actually the villain, that he is an agent. He's a different form of an agent, or he's a new villain altogether. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But you also have like Yeah, what's his name? The guy who's playing, he's in Mindhunter. David Groff, was it, or Groff, or
Jonathan
something like
Groff.
that. Jonathan Groff. Yeah, his character seems very interesting because in the trailers, some of the TV spots, he was fighting Neo.
Yep.
He was also in that scene where he was like packed back to the Matrix. He's aware what the Matrix is.
Yeah.
And at the very background in that room is the original Hugo Weaving agent, kind of like a statue in the background of the scene where Neo punches him in the face. There's like a statue of that in the background, very far if you look at that. So then you have Neil Patrick Harris, like his therapist. The Black Cat appears as well. So it's going to be exciting to see this. And like, what's the story with Trinity? Why is she why is her avatar for code breaking?
Yeah.
Is Neo like, why is it a reboot? Like was it the writer or one of the producers said that it's not a sequel and it's not a reboot, or it's both, something like that. That's interesting as well.
Yeah.
So, like, does that mean it's a sequel, but it's a reboot in the world that everything has
Exactly.
been set?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a very interesting theory, and that fits with my theory. Like, this new cast could be a reboot of the original Matrix inside the movie. So that would make them the actors playing those characters, right? Yeah, that fits perfectly.
Yeah.
They're probably rebooting the Matrix with these new actors, recasting.
Because because the same thing has happened. Like, Neo is the 7th one, I think. Like, this has happened 6 times previously, where somebody has come through the
6
Matrix.
times already happened.
Type of story has happened.
Yeah.
Has it been 6 different people, or has it been Neo 6 times?
Yeah.
Like, is it like, I know people think we're crazy. We relate everything back to Zack Snyder and the nightmare timeline, but Zack Snyder is actually influenced by
the Matrix,
the Wachowskis and the Matrix. What if every Matrix movie we've watched has been the nightmare timeline of this world, where Neo is doing the same thing over and over again? He dies, but he doesn't die the right way to save everybody, and this is his rebooted chance to save everyone or to do what's right. He dies, but he has to die in a certain way. I don't know.
Yeah. It's very interesting. What if the whole Matrix trilogy is one big Matrix that he wakes up from in this movie? Inception level mind blown.
The movie's playing in the background a lot.
Exactly.
As well. So, and he's in it. I don't know.
It's crazy.
And then, like, there's a few spots as well where he says he has to get back to. So I don't know where he wants to go back to.
In the Matrix?
Is it back to the real world? Is it back to the Matrix? Yeah, he says it. He says I have to get back. So I don't know if he's trying to get back to Carrie-Anne Moss in the real world, or he's trying to get back to Carrie-Anne Moss in the Matrix. Then he said to Morpheus, he said he's done fighting. He doesn't want to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Because I remember I don't know which Matrix it was the Matrix 2 or 3. He's fighting Agent Smith, and he's like, he knows that fighting is worthless. Doesn't mean anything to fight. It's going to happen the way it happens anyway. Doesn't want to fight the agent anymore. So, like, is that what he means there? He just doesn't want to fight because there's no point. It's gonna go the way it's gonna go.
Right.
So I don't know. December 22nd, I think it comes out here.
Yeah.
I think.
Dude.
I think it comes out earlier. Some other places.
We're less than a month away.
There's no hype around it. Well, there's hype around it, but there's not like much hype around it.
Yeah, because of Spider-Man. If Spider-Man wasn't coming, I think it would have had much more hype. But I think that, the marketing will start ramping up as we get closer to that movie. So we'll have to look out for that as well. That was our Matrix talk. In 10 minutes, I have to log into work now.
Right.
But yeah. Thank you everyone for stopping by and having a chat with us. We definitely love to have you guys here, and make sure you check us out next Saturday when we'll be doing our show again. And until then, you can follow us at The Real Talk Live on all social media. You can find me at Krypton Caged on all social media. And where can they find you, Maher?
Yeah, Movies That Matter on all social media, and then Matter the Viking on Instagram.
Awesome. All right, until next time, take care and goodbye.